Homework number one for Introduction to Business Analytics. Here we have chapter one, question one, and the first question is, how might data analytics be used in the following situations? And this one is used to determine where to locate a Black Bear Diner in Lawrence Canvas. And you see these three bullet points. We have three ways here. So analytics would help us in a couple ways. On the marketing side, we'd look at demographics and customer preferences, basically who lives in the area and what they like to eat. On the business operation side, we'd focus on things like traffic flow, supply chain access, and how close competitors are. Let's see. If you look at this graph here, it kind of shows the population density and traffic overlap on this heat map. And basically, it points out areas that would give the diner the best chance to succeed. The whole idea here is to attract as many customers as possible while keeping operations smooth. And then for our second question, we have the gaming app here. It is how might data analytics be used to decide which gaming app to build and market for Android phones? It's kind of similar to the first one, but here marketing analytics would look at trends in the App Store, customer reviews, and I guess how people are actually using these apps. On the finance side, it's really just about the money, revenue potential, in-app spending, because that's very important with obviously apps. But the goal here is, I guess, to try to choose a genre with the strongest return on investment. All right, so now we are on question Q1C. How might data analytics be used to determine the appropriate venue for a Taylor Swift concert in Texas? So analytics can really help here. Why marketing looks at fan demographics, streaming data, and I guess the demand forecast to estimate how many tickets could sell. On the operation side, you check things like venue size, seating capacity, parking, and security to make sure everything is running smoothly. You can see this graph shows the different type of demand with the larger venues. So like students, young adults, larger venues line up with the higher demand. The point here is not only to sell at the concert, but make sure the fans have a great experience as well. For our last question here, how might data analytics be used to analyze the depth of a nursing shortage at a Fayetteville hospital? So here, operations analytics focuses on the staffing levels, scheduling, and the turnover rate. And while accounting analytics looks at the cost to overtime and training, because obviously nurses work long hours, so this is very important to the business. These analysis helps the hospital balance patient care with the resources and budget they have. So kind of overall, these examples show that analytics isn't just for making businesses more profitable, but it can also help solve important community issues like healthcare.
Question number two. The question was Tesla's considering each of the following questions. Identify whether a company will use descriptive, diagnostic, predictive, prescriptive, or adaptive / autonomous tools to answer them. So the first question for part A was Tesla's forecasted sales in China over the next 3 years. So what we're going to do to find this out is use predictive analytics. And the reason that this is predictive is because it's using both past sales information and also future projections. And really the future projections is the part that we're looking at here for predictive market trends, and the forecasted growth is also a part of this. And you can see here on the chart on the right that we have the in blue, the actual sales of Tesla, and then in red from 2023 to 2026, we have the sales for that are projected for those years. So the goal of this would be to anticipate the future demand, plan the production line, and things along those lines. So for question 2B, if the UK relegations are going to increase costs, and how will that profit be affected? So this is going to be prescriptive analytics, and the reason that it's prescriptive is because you have to look at the actions that could happen in the future, and in this case, that's what's happening. We're looking at something that may happen in the future that's based off a certain scenario that's going to happen, and you have to predict what to do and figure out how to best solve that problem. In order to do this, Tesla would need to look at past and current data to come up with a solution to figure out what needs to be done about the increased costs that may happen in the future. And the goal would be to prepare for the finances to do this. For question C here, what taxes did Tesla pay in Malaysia in the past 4 quarters? This one's descriptive statistics and analytics that we need to use. And the reason that this is because it's already happened in the past, and we can just look back in our records and the data to know what we need to do. So for question D here, what was the ROI for Tesla stockholders over the past 5 years? And that's also descriptive analytics. So once again, this is something that can just easily be found. And all you have to do is look into the past and look in the records that you have to find the answer to that. The goal here is measuring the long-term investment performance and if there's anything that needs to be changed or anything like that for Tesla. For the second question here, part E, is how should we adjust our R&D based on expected improvements in the battery technology? So this is a little bit trickier, but it's prescriptive because we're looking at the specific improvement in battery technology. So that's why it's prescriptive. And that you have a certain scenario playing out that you're going to need to figure out what needs to be researched and developed in that scenario, and that part of your industry to make your company compete better with others, and what to do for the future. And you're going to align your technology to advance with the future. For question F or part F to this question are why were materials more expensive than anticipated? And to solve this, Tesla would need to use diagnostic analytics because this is going to, identify the cost of the unexpected rise and why. And diagnostic is when you are looking into the data deep and finding the root cause of something. And you can see on the chart here, the costs were going way up for Tesla. So diagnostics going to look into further detail and data to figure out what's wrong with this. And the goal is to understand the cost drivers and what's going on here.
So the first question is, what is ETL and how does it connect to the process of obtaining data? ETL stands for extract, transform, and load. It's the process of taking raw data, cleaning and organizing it, and then moving it into a database for analysis. So that's why I put the clipboard there. Then ETL ensures that by the time data is used, it's complete and ready for decision making. So next question is, why is it so important to validate data for completeness and accuracy? Validation makes sure that data is complete and accurate. So that's why I put the clipboard there. It makes sure that it's checking its dots. For an example, checking customer IDs prevent errors or duplicates. Without validation, companies risk making decisions based on missing or inaccurate information, which can lead to costly mistakes. Next slide. We're asked if we had to access Walmart's internal data, which would we use to predict pecan sales around Thanksgiving time? So to predict pecan sales at Thanksgiving, Walmart would use internal data such as holiday sales records, and that's why I have the chart over there, supplier inventory information, the pecans, henceforth that's the picture. This combination helps them forecast demand, avoid overstocking, and make sure customers always find what they are looking for and need. The last question is, why is it important to understand how rational databases use primary keys and foreign keys? Databases use primary keys. So the primary key box that I have on the right structure keeps data accurate and consistent and easy to analyze. For an example, it links a customer IDs to their order. Without these keys, databases would quickly become disorganized and unreliable. So that's why I have those two little charts over there. So one could be customers and one can be orders, and they both link to each other because one has a primary key and has a foreign key. So conclusion is that in summary, ETL prepares the data, validation ensures quality and rational databases, organize it effectively. Together, these concepts make data reliable and accessible to business decision making.